Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all having a great weekend. Today I'd like to talk about a very timely novel, The Great Gatsby, and its influence on my novel, The Lipstick Empire. Now, The Great Gatsby is one of the greatest novels of the 20th century by F. Scott Fitzgerald. It's beautifully written, so nuanced. It's about a character, Gatsby, in the roaring 20s, who's a fraud and a con man, but very successful, larger than life, very glamorous. Yet, at the heart of this all, he's kind of a romantic, a real romantic, and he's in love with this woman, Daisy Buchanan, who's married to this guy who's a total bully, Tom Buchanan. And all of these people kind of gather at his mansion and everything, and it's lavish, and they have these wild parties, and everyone wants to know Gatsby. And it's all told from the standpoint of a character, Nick, who's kind of a younger guy, and he really hasn't seen the world, and he sort of has virgin eyes, and he's looking upon all of this with kind of shock and disgust, because these people are people that are being idolized, but they're behaving so poorly. But at the heart of it all, we have Gatsby, who's basically a romantic, but a flawed romantic, in love with a woman who's basically really, really trashy. And he doesn't really understand that. He doesn't understand that these people that are around him are even worse than he is, because he's a criminal and maybe he feels guilty about that, but he doesn't realize that people around him are even worse. They're his enablers, you know, and they're even lower than he is, and that's why it's just so beautiful. And Daisy and Tom Buchanan kind of remind me of these people like, you know, J.D. Vance and Pete Hegseth and all these new people that are running America right now, really callous, but they have the masquerade of being, you know, elite and wonderful and living this great life and everything. And so that's why it's such a great book, and why it's so important now to reread it, because it's all about the moral rot that hides behind all this glamour and prestige, and also about how a character doesn't really understand the motivations of other characters. And that's why it was a big influence on The Lipstick Empire. This is about a guy who wants to marry. He's engaged to a Hungarian woman, and she becomes a runaway bride, and then, you know, they get back together again, and then she disappears again, and he gradually finds out things about her that he didn't even know could even be possible, and are actually quite horrifying. And in the end, he gets totally kind of like backstabbed by this woman and all of her entourage, and he can't even really believe that he was swept into this, because he actually wanted to think that this woman was this incredible person and everything, but she had motivations that he just didn't understand. And so that's why these two novels are similar, except in this case we have the main character is just an American in the UK who gets involved with these Hungarian people whose motivations he doesn't really truly understand. And it's sort of like how Gatsby is in love with Daisy Buchanan, and he doesn't really understand what she's all about. Anyway, two great books. I also have a new book, The Orphean. It came out in September. It's a day in the life of a men's fashion and fragrance influencer on his way to meet his estranged daughter in a very Kafkaesque world. It's very modernist, if you like stuff like Peter Handke, 2019 Nobel Prize winner, and also co-wrote the script for Wings of Desire with Bruno Ganz in it. You would actually love this. It's also, you know, owes a lot to Kafka as well. So anyway, thanks for listening, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.